Well, bakers, because it is fall time, I thought it's the perfect time to show you how to make a Canadian butter tart. A tart that has a beautiful buttery pastry and a mapley custard filling. It is so delicious, loved by Canadians and people all over the world. We're gonna start out by making my master recipe for pie crust. This is a fantastic one to have in your back pocket, especially now that we're heading into pie season. So in a nice big bowl, I have some all-purpose flour, just regular old plain flour. Here I have a little bit of powdered sugar, just a slight bit just to sweeten our pastry. And then, of course, always when we're making pastry, you need salt. I'm going to rub those ingredients together with my fingers. To this, I'm going to add in my cold cubed butter. Now, I'm going to give you a pastry lesson here, which is always cold cubed butter, small cubes, and we're going to rub it in with our fingers. I have a post on biggerbolderbaking.com about all the frequently asked questions that people ask about making pie crust, from the ingredients to the butter to how to mix, rolling, everything you'd possibly want to know. So definitely, because we're in fall time, check out that post right now. It'll be invaluable to you. Okay, it just takes a few minutes, not too long. Big lumpies, small lumpies. Next, we're going to add in a little bit of egg to enrich the dough and a little bit of water. I don't do just water because then you don't get the extra fat from the yolk and you don't get extra flavor. So why would I not do that? In with our egg, and we're going to mix it together. You can do this by hand or you can do it with a wooden spoon. If anybody uses wooden spoons anymore, I don't know if they do or not. I'm just going to add in the rest of my water. I always hold a little bit back just in case I don't need it all. All I'm going to do now is just bring this pastry together with my hand until it forms a ball. Take care not to over wet pastry because unfortunately it doesn't do it any favors, and once all that liquid goes in, you can't take it out. A pastry on the drier side is actually much better, and I'll tell you why. The drier it is, the shorter it is, which means like the more butter, the less liquid, the flakier it'll be. And here's a little tip that you might not know. When you put a pastry dough into the fridge and let it relax, which you always should do with pastry, it actually releases water as it's relaxing. So you might think like, gosh, is it a little bit dry? Once it's in your fridge for half an hour, it'll actually express water and hydrate all that dry flour and be the perfect texture when you go to roll it out later. That being said, it's ready to go. Follow me over to the fridge. So my pastry is lovely and chilled. It's been in there for an hour. I will let you know that you can make it up to 2 days in advance. And also this time of year, I always have pastry in my freezer. Sweet pastry, savory pastry. It's just like such a time saver to have it there, and it freezes beautifully. So don't be afraid to do that. I'm gonna roll out our pastry onto a floured surface. So you want to roll it in between 1/4 and 1/2 inch, really nice and thick pastry. For this pastry, I want it to be a little bit thicker, and I'll show you why. It's just nicer for this little tart. We're going to take a 3-inch round cutter, cut 12 circles. This is like my superpower. 1/4 inch. Yeah, just have it a little bit thicker. Because it's a small little pastry, we want to move it up the pan. I'll show you now in a minute. But lovely, we need 12 of these. If you have pastry left over, feel free to use it for little pastry parcels like I do with George. Lots of fun for kids. So those are our rounds here. I have a cupcake pan. We're just gonna fill the cupcake pan and bring that pastry up the sides until it comes up to the top, like so, taking the shape of the pan. Lovely. We tried to use a bigger cutter to cut out these rounds, but it was just too big. So all you have to do is just shape your round to fit the mold. The pastry being a little bit thicker means that you can move it up the side, so that makes life easier. Now what I'm going to do, because pastry loves to be cold, is pop these into the fridge, let them get nice and cold again, the butter firms up, and then we're gonna make our filling while these are doing that. So our maple filling is kind of like a custard maple filling. So when you think about like a Portuguese tart or something, we're replacing like the dairy with maple syrup, which is just absolutely delicious. A little bit of salt in there, brown sugar, it's super yummy. So in here in a small saucepan, I'm going to put on medium heat and I'm going to add in pure maple syrup. Please, if you're not going to use the good stuff for these tarts, then don't bother. Make sure it is pure maple syrup. Just get 1 bottle. Then we're going to add in some dark brown sugar for extra carameliness and cold cubed butter. And all we want to do is just heat those ingredients together until our butter melts and our sugar dissolves. So, funny story about me and Canada. I applied for a Canadian visa in 2007 when I was ready to leave Ireland, but I didn't know where I was going to go. And I applied for a Canadian visa and actually got it. I was going to go to Vancouver, but I decided that, like, in my gut, I'd always wanted to go to America. I wanted to live as a grown-up in the US. So I didn't end up taking the visa and I ended up coming here instead to California. But I do often wonder, like, what would have happened to Canadian Gemma? I have no idea. Okay, so as you can see, our butter is melted, so is our sugar, it's dissolved. So I'm gonna turn off the flame, move it off the heat there. And I'm just going to introduce a little bit of this hot maple liquid into our eggs. Our eggs are at room temperature. If they came cold from the fridge, that would not be good because they'd get a bit of a shock and they might cook. So you want them room temperature, like the custard. Pour in some of that maple a little bit. What we're doing here is tempering. We want to get the eggs the same temperature as the maple, so one doesn't hit the other hot and cold and they cook. We do this for making creme anglaise, for custard bases, creme patisserie, things like that. It's just always good practice when working with eggs. There we go, into there, because we need those eggs to set our tart. Lastly, to our filling, I'm going to add in a pinch of salt, which is super important when you're doing this recipe, especially when you're working with ingredients like brown sugar, maple syrup, and you've got all those caramel vibes going on. You really want some of that in there. Also, vanilla, just to bring out the flavors of those other ingredients and just enhance them. Give that a little whisk to combine, but that's it. Lovely. We're going to bring it over to the countertop, let it cool down for a little bit, and then we can fill our pastry. So my pastry is chilled and I put my filling into a different container to cool it down. You want to make sure that it's nice and cool before you put it into your pastry. And all you have to do is then divide it up between your 12 wells, which rhymes. I texted a few of my Canadian friends before I made these, and they said that they are definitely enjoyed around the holidays, but also people love them all year round. So there's really no wrong time to eat these little lovely buttery mapley pastries. There's enough of that maple filling to give you a lovely thick custard for each tart, which is very exciting. This is my favorite part. Now let's not hang around. My oven is preheated. Let's get them into the oven. Bake our tarts at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius for roughly 25 to 30 minutes until they're lovely bubbly and the crust is golden brown. When your tarts come out of the oven, they'll be a lovely golden brown, smelling amazing. Once they settle, they'll look a little bit better, and we also might give them a little shimmy with a knife while they're still warm, just to make sure that they don't stick into the pan hard when they go cold. Let them cool completely and then we can serve them. Butter tarts are everything I love about the fall in one bite, or a buttery crust, a maple filling. They are small, sweet, they really pack a flavor punch. Just to give you an idea, it's like pecan pie without the nuts, just all filling and pie crust. You can enjoy these tarts as is, but I like to be a little bit extra and add a dollop of softly whipped cream on top. Canadians love to use maple syrup and they are very proud of these tarts, and I can see why. They are absolutely delicious. If this recipe has got you in the mood for some fall baking, then stick around because I have hundreds more videos for you to check out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you back here again next week.